In a prior video that I made on a cognitive bias called anchoring, I talked about how you get a piece of information first and you value that higher than following information, whether it be true or not. You tend to kind of anchor on that particular piece of information because that's all you know about a particular subject. So once you get that in your mind, it kind of anchors in there. And I was thinking about different things that's going on in the world now and how to expand on the anchoring. And cognitive biases are things that kind of trip us up and get us doing things or whatever that may be not positive for other people or ourselves or whatever. Might cause a problem because we're not actually seeing the world accurately. We're seeing it through a lens. So a bias is like a lens that we see the world through. And ignorance is kind of like a dirty lens, you know what I'm saying, where you're not seeing the picture clearly. So the more information that you get, you kind of clears that lens up and you can see clearly. But the problem is you're still seeing through a lens. So confirmation bias is another cognitive bias. So let's go ahead and go to the definition. Confirmation bias is a tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information that confirms or support one's prior personal beliefs or values. So, an example, in my previous video, I used the example of buying a new car and how I was told at a young age that was the wrong thing to do. So that was that piece of information that I anchored on for a long time. So what I see as far as confirmation bias, you can, if you want to do something, this is stick on cars. So if you want to buy a particular car, let's say there's a particular car, you just like it because the way it looks or whatever, then you're going to go out and find information to support what you already want to do. Or what I see a lot online is that you already impulse buy or you make a decision and then you go out and try to find information to validate, to confirm that you made the right decision. Anything that's negative, especially after the fact, you already made the purchase or whatever, then you find information that says maybe that wasn't the right decision. Have a tendency to kind of overlook that and look for the information that supports that you did make the right decision. So as far as buying stuff, but if you have a core belief and you've acted on that belief and you've advocated for that particular belief for a long time, then it's going to be hard to reevaluate your foundations and your beliefs if you have to really contend with information that is contrary to those beliefs. So people tend to just look and just overlook that information and focus on what validates their beliefs. So the confirmation bias is super widespread and it's very easy to get sucked into because, like everybody does it. And it's kind of natural, you don't really have to be tricked into doing this. It's just kind of innately you want to do it because, for a variety of different psychological reasons or whatever. But it's something that I think is important to understand going in and understand going into making decisions or whatever it is. And also looking at other people that may be falling for the confirmation bias. One of the things that was going on in the 1980s, that this is a different deal, a different type of thing, but in the 1980s, there was a moral panic regarding satanic cults. And the idea was that there was these Satanists, underground Satanists all over the place, and that it was blown out of proportion. And it was like this, it was just irrational, kind of collective insanity in a way. And if you don't understand confirmation bias, then you may, and you think there's satanic cults everywhere and there's Satan people everywhere, and maybe your neighbor is a Satanist or whatever, then you're going to get, the cops are Satanists or whatever. Then you're going to kind of like, it's going to kind of come true in your mind. You're like, yeah, maybe that guy, he was, that waiter at the restaurant, he kind of looked kind of funny, or he acted kind of funny or whatever. And you're going to attribute things that are just kind of arbitrary to this whole idea of that there's Satanists everywhere. And I think this kind of relates to the whole situation that's going on now, with, thinking that there's a level of corruption in the society that there isn't. So it's another type of massive moral panic from what I can tell. And people are using any information or just making things up to confirm this bias. And it seems like it's spiraled. It's just kind of spiraled and out of control. And so I think, and these type of biases and understanding them, only the reasonable people are going to look at this and try to understand this and try to go forward in life, trying to understand biases, cognitive biases, and how not to get tripped up by them. So only reasonable people will do this. The unreasonable people will not do this. They're going to do other things that are unreasonable, okay? To say the least. What I think is important is the reasonable people to understand the cognitive biases that people have, whether the other people are aware or not, to understand them in yourself first. And once you understand them in yourself as much as you possibly can, then you can see where a person is falling for these cognitive biases. And you will not be an enabler to those cognitive biases. So if somebody thinks that there is Satanists everywhere, and they're looking at every little thing, to confirm that idea, and you go along with it or comply with that in a way that's validating and confirming that confirmation, to confirm that bias, which can lead to a moral panic, is causing problems. Okay, so the reasonable people are trying to better themselves, but how they can help other people that are dealing with these cognitive biases that are unreasonable, and they're not going to try to understand cognitive biases. You have to basically just not be an enabler, and try to help these people, because they need help. They need help in a compassionate way, of course, as much as possible, without putting yourself in harm's way or whatever. So confirmation bias, and I think looking into a moral panic and understanding what that is. I think that these are very relevant right now. And it's kind of like, and I think anchoring is relevant as well now, because people went into the situations that we're in now with these ideas, and they confirmed those ideas, and now it's reaching a level of moral panic. So to accurately see the world is difficult, and we tend to always look through a lens. So we have to really understand cognitive biases, our own, life, and what shaped our lenses, and try to kind of correct for that, in the best way possible. And I think one of the rules of thumb, I guess you can say, that I heard Jordan Peterson talk about was, you want to try to do things that are good for you now and in the future, forever in the future, good for your neighbors and your immediate family and people that are directly your immediate sociometry, good for them now and in the future, and also your society now and in the future. So if you're looking at all those different levels, first yourself, because you have to take care of yourself first before you can reach a level of helping other people, or being a positive structure of society. But anyways, I think this is all something that we really need to look into and understand thoroughly. And so anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.